know where the monster is most times under my bed, but I have to pretend to not know so people don't suspect me. So I'm gonna search the last known location of the monster. The last known is not being under my bed. By the way, the last publicly known. So see if
Well,
I can find
that
it
would
again.
actually be the chase through the castle when it finally cornered Orthas and was able to hypnotize him into basically giving up.
Yeah.
And so, which must have been a horrifying and dramatic moment that we're sort of playing off scene here, but off screen. But I'm sure it made an impression on any number of people, even if what they really saw was its aftermath. So, so that would be its last known location.
Yeah, so I'm gonna question people when if you saw it last, where did it go? Can you describe it? Did it have like claws, that kind of thing? What it looks like? What kind of weapons does it have? Like stuff like that. Like gather information about it in a convincing way. Intrigue. Critical failure.
Whoops.
Oh my God! Actually, that's the reason I made that roll is because you're faking your way through this, and because although intrigue is fact finding, it is also in this case having a lot to do with maintaining the fiction. So you're actually conducting intrigue as well as in a more general sense, which means it's going to become apparent to people over the course of the next day or so that you seem curiously your authenticity of hunting the monster is not credible.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to you were not able to pull off the pretense as well. And with a critical failure, that means that it will become apparent socially within a reasonable time, because this is going to take hours, and people will then talk after that for hours.
Yes.
And Petron will get a report at that time scale. So it's going to take a little while for this to brew up into a realization that you're not doing this right, or you're not doing this sincerely.
Yeah.
Something, you're up to something else.
Yeah.
And so that will be not right away though.
No.
Okay. Well, boy, we are just critical failing our way into the worst possible any minute now.
That'd be me, the worst possible.
Yes.
Yes.
And on cue.
Yeah, here's Fergal.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think Fergal has come to terms with this new situation a bit, so I think I want to spread the blessings. Maybe convert some new people in town.
Convert in what way?
Give them a taste of the shadow, I guess.
Wow. So are you going to have people like drag people to you?
No, I think I will probably prey on the more exposed poor people at first.
The refugees?
Yes,
Okay.
very much so. Because since the query is being brought up, I was first thinking about like exacting some form of revenge against them, but that's already in the process. So it's the poor, unfortunate people that's next in line.
Okay. Well, in that case...
So it's, so I'm guessing it's some form of, not mass sacrifice, but serial sacrifice to
Right,
the
well that's what I was thinking too, was that it would be, you're basically converting...
Yeah, I'm trying to build up an
new
underground
temple.
and the army, more or less.
Right, and so that would mean that effectively...
But is it enough for people to be within the aura of the shadow, or is it a more...
Well, they have to make a roll.
Okay.
It's an
So,
attack.
so if I choose to go into the tavern and just walk amongst the crowd, then
Here.
that and in this there only says like shadow and doesn't really. Maybe it says on the other side. Here it says you have to be sacrificed somewhere.
Encounters with a shadow. Right. Entering the shadow. Right. Mental conflict with the shadow. And they have rules for that, I think, which is different. Let's see. Yeah, mental conflict is not the same as what these rules have, which are here, shadow. Okay, so this is talking about the invocation, like when somebody carries out the invocation. But when Amorvern are discussed, they are described as exuding that effect.
Yeah.
So if we go and look at the effect, as if it were a successful invocation, basically. A check against will by everyone within range of the cleric. And it's 3d6 or 4d6. So you would have to roll something.
Yeah.
Most likely ritual.
Oh no.
But the idea is that well, you see, I'm not sure. It's 3d6 with marginal success, 4d6 with critical success, but that refers to the invocation roll.
Yeah.
Which is not the same as you
Exuding,
breathing the crap out.
Yeah.
In an aura. But anyway, the point is that when they fail the check, they will panic and usually flee.
Yeah.
Those who fail by more than 3 points will suffer one of the following fates: possession by the shadow, and they actually become Gulmorvrin, which is really severe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hideous monster. Exile from the body, which is possessed by the shadow. So the spirit is is exiled, and I don't know what that means to be possessed by the shadow without a spirit in it. That I don't know. And then 3, the victim may voluntarily yield to the shadow, in effect becoming one of the Amorvrin or free undead.
Yeah,
so the person,
something like that in this one as well.
But but that's all we know from here.
Yeah.
Is that so? Basically, what I've been doing is just rolling against will, and seeing if they miss by 3.
Yeah.
So that is that's as far as I can extrapolate from what I'm seeing here. So messy as it is, that's our procedure.
Let's do it.
Right. So you will have people be dragged to you.
Maybe I should just see what happens if we keep the doors locked and I just walk among the poor and needy inside the tavern and see if we can start something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to have any friends with you?
Yeah, I'm having them keep guard at the doors, I guess, so nobody gets out.
I see. Okay.
And I might start in a corner with someone looking a bit more exposed, I guess.
Okay. Well, if we truly play this out as an encounter, the possibility of a berserk rush upon you in order to.
I've got 13 lives.
But playing that out might be a little brutal. So I'm just trying to see if we can. How are you going to do this? I mean, what skills might be involved? I mean, if you are going to use any skills.
Yeah, stealth maybe.
Yeah, just to be able to keep
it low.
Keep yourself from being noticed until. Enough has happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's try that.
Yeah, because I think that people being turned into Gulmora are like contagious as well if they attack people with the highest aura.
That's actually true.
So I'm thinking.
Oh my God, you're starting a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, definitely.
In a locked room.
Yeah. And keep them there. Just keep them there, and then we open the doors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it.
Yeah.
Hopefully this
Right. So the question is whether you are able to stay stealthy long enough to get this rolling, get
Yeah.
the ripple effect
Yeah.
occurring. If you're spotted, then I do think that
Yes.
desperate people would do whatever they could,
Yeah.
right?
You're in a bad spot.
Right. But it is in a crowded social space, somewhat overwhelmed crowded social space
Exactly.
with the extra people,
Yeah.
which you were so kind
Yes,
as,
exactly. Thank
as
you.
to organize. Right. Mhm. So I think that's where we're at. Before we roll and see just how badly this goes, let's find out a little bit more about you guys and what roles might be involved in your activities. We have found out about your disaster.
Yes.
And then...
I think, Osquin has some things to think about. Ymer has some pretty good ideas, it turns out. Maybe you should, leave this place when you're hunted by, the large state church and everything. Maybe this is not the place to be, even if Orpheus has now, sadly passed away. His, followers are still probably, they haven't dropped this idea, I'd imagine. So I think, Osquin, she's thinking about moving, but she can't do that without first seeing her family. She has to make sure they're safe first. Are they holding up? Are they sort of, how are they doing? Do they also want to leave? Should they,
Let's pull out
do
some
we
reference.
Yeah. Do they want her to stay?
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to see my latest. I think it's this page right here on top. Okay, so you would then be seeing your mother, Gwen,
Yes.
and father and sister.
Mm.
And they have been taking more refuge at the keep rather than their own dwelling. Partly through association with you because you've gained status and recognition from the constable, and partly because any number of people who work on and off at the keep seem to find more time there than their duties would imply. So the place is a little more crowded than it would ordinarily be. There's a number of cooks or anybody who has professional work that has to do with the keep seems to feel the need to be on its premises. So they are actually there. And I wouldn't be surprised if a few tents have been set up in the courtyard at this point. What are all these kids doing here? That kind of thing. So sure.
Yeah. I think I was going to say to them, sort of explain the situation, sort of explain that there's been some kind of misunderstanding with the local church, and she really has to seek out David because he hasn't come back yet, and she really owes him a sort of an explanation. Sort of, she got some stuff that belongs to him that sort of he needs to have at this point, and sort of it's not necessarily safe at this point anymore. So the standing order she was given is sort of overridden by the current events. But first she has to make sure are they safe? Do they believe it's safe for them to stay here, or are they guilt by association for this sort of the church? Just to do they want to follow her on the sort of the road to whatever it's called? Henway.
Yeah. They are your mother.
Yeah.
Basically, without coming out and saying something factual, is going to make it very clear that you need to be with David and to get out of here. They will be safe, she says. she trusts the constable. Whatever happens, that guy's a survivor.
Oh,
and
yeah,
has come out ahead of any number of sticky situations.
The constable is a good man. I think he would keep them safe.
She didn't go so far as to say he was a good man. She kind of pauses at
A
that,
strong man,
Yeah.
maybe not good.
decides not to press the point, and says simply that, he'll protect people who have been loyal to him and that can provide some order around him.
Yeah.
So but she's clearly saying all these things in contrast with you.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, if you know that, I mean, at this point you have a pretty good hope that the hunter will be bringing David back faster.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, riding out on the road toward him is not, if he's not dead by now in a ditch or something, or executed back in Henwa, or who knows what. If that's best. And she says, and regardless, if you don't see him, ride for Tormel. Ride for Tormel. Take all of, she makes it very clear, take all of David's papers.
Oh, yes.
Take all of those things, anything you've got that denotes your association with him, and use it.
Yeah.
So
I fully intend to. I think Oscar and Gwen are completely on the same page.
Right. She's
this is important. Good that you understand.
She's very sad. She's, everybody's going to hug you a little longer than seems entirely necessary, and sadly, Emir's job is to, just as you are packing everything up, to say, what do you have there?
What do I have here? David stuff, of course.
It says, Oswin, you're not supposed to be leaving, and you keep running around town, and I have to keep making excuses about this.
Well, I have to do my job, and you have to do yours, and your job happens to be protecting me. So I believe you have been adjunctated in this sort of task. With the good faith of the constable and David, of course, they would understand and would explain this. So I believe as long as you do your job, stay close to me and stay safe, because I would need that protection. Actually, I mean, these roads aren't, they are what they are.
So where are we going?
Henway, at first, finding David. That's the last known position. We'll probably meet him on the way, and we'll head back in later.
I have to tell the constable that we're doing this.
I think the constables are very busy right now, but you can if you want.
Rhetoric.
That
looks good. Yeah. Okay. Since it's a marginal success, he might leave word.
Oh yeah.
Right. He might leave some communication behind, and not quite grasp as he would with a critical success that we're going out undercover, right? But so he'll problematize the situation slightly by leaving word. Although Petron may be a little busy by the time this is figured out. So you and Emir can be on your way.
Yeah. I suppose we're packing sort of a wagon or some cart or something. I mean, when it's a medieval merchant, he's not having an archive. But
oh my God.
But still.
I saw that.
Well, you see, that's the question. David is actually arriving today, but he's going to be taking 2 watches to do it. And I got 2 encounters, one for each watch, on the highway. So, wait, that would be, here. Yeah. So, yes, he's got 2 encounters on the highway to manage, which leads us to our encounters pages.
Yeah. Could add that, Osman is probably for a change actually armed. She'd probably pack the spear in that cart. Sort of, even the sling.
Yeah. That's probably a really good idea.
No armor though, They didn't have her sizes.
tiny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true. Very tiny.
Yeah.